Hi, everybody. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a good subscribe, all that good stuff. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a nice international break from West Ham. But the news don't stop. The news juggernaut that is West Ham keeps going, keeps on plugging away, even when 17 of our players are on international duty, 9 first-team players, 6 academy players, and 2 of our loan stars are on international duty. At lunchtime today, I went all through that. All you need to know about is 32 international games that involve the West Ham squad in some guys. So check that out and let me know what you think. But it is Hammer's headlines in association with the KUMB.com boys. A few stories going around over the weekend, so we'll sort of bring to you a rough synopsis of them. Let's start with Danny Kretinsky. So our second largest shareholder has been making some moves. Not moves like Jagger. Is he making some moves in the French market, buying up a few companies, creating a bit of controversy off the back of it as well, but not necessarily making moves in our West Ham boardroom just yet. He looks set to make a major £787 million French deal across the channel. A speculation sort of claims and counterclaims about whether he's going to be going for a full takeover at West Ham, whether he's going to invest more. He's investing more and more away from the club, it seems. We said back in, I think it's about a month ago, how he landed a big £1 billion 15-year deal to provide backup energy to the national grid in the UK. Most of his money and most of his his major dealings are in energy, although he does have a stake in big business such as Royal Mail, Sainsbury's. But he's moved to spend big on 2 French deals for technology companies, Atos, and retailer Frank Darty as part of his growing portfolio of investments. And now he's putting more money behind a media company in France. French media giant Viventi has revealed its exclusive talks to sell its publisher Etius to Kretinsky's company in a bid that could help win regulatory approval for its takeover of Lagardère. No idea. He already has stakes in the French news outlet Le Monde and TF1. But Reuters reports that the prospect of him merging Etius with France's largest publisher has triggered criticism from independent publishers. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. It's the latest in a big series of money moves he's made. So basically, he's reinvesting that £1 billion elsewhere. Obviously, he's spending a lot of money in France. I mean, also, he bought a French chateau just outside Paris, I believe, for about 37 million quid last year as well. So obviously he likes a bit of France. On the subject of potential takeover, obviously we had the sad news on Friday about Jacqueline Gold passing away shortly after her father passed away, David Gold. And there was an update on a West Ham. It sort of complicated any potential takeover because of that. Because it will mean that where I think Jacqueline was on the board, now it looks like her daughter, David Gold's other daughter, Vanessa, will take a place on the West Ham board. I think Sean mentioned that there's going to be no quick sale. Obviously, with the things like inheritance tax and things like that, there will be no quick sale on David Gold's shares, that's for sure. And reports of Kretinsky buying them all up or hoovering them all up is very wide of the mark, and it is quite wild speculation elsewhere. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we spoke about the MCOs, the multi-country ownership sort of idea that UEFA are potentially looking at loosening, allowing 2 sides to play in the same competition. There was someone made a good point about the Red Bull model. Has that worked with Salzburg and Leipzig? They were both in the Champions League last year. I have no idea, but apparently it's a lot. It's something they're looking to improve. So that might be one fly in the ointment that we can remove in a potential takeover process. Elsewhere, let's talk about Michail Antonio. A report came out yesterday in the Sun, so take it with a pinch of salt, that Everton have made Michail Antonio their top target in the summer transfer window. Their number one target is Michail Antonio. It's fair to say the 32-year-old has somewhat fallen right off the cliff, really, in terms of his performances in relation to the previous 2 years, that's for sure. But he's top of the cliff, top of the wish list for Sean Dyche in the summer. One thing is, he's a handful. He's a handful. He may well suit a Sean Dyche type. You look at how maybe someone like Ashley Barnes sort of sort of had a resurgence under Sean Dyche. And you look at maybe Chris Woods and even sort of Jay Rodriguez. They flourished under Sean Dyche. So maybe it could be. And Antonio's lost his place in the first team. I'd say in the first starting position to Danny Ings, and possibly then Scarmacca and him are competing for that second spot at the moment. So his time at London Stadium could come to an end in the summer. The seven-capped Jamaican international was heavily linked with a move away from West Ham back in January, but he stayed, and rumours are now beginning to surface that he's looking at his future. He did sort of come out quite publicly in his Footballers podcast saying that, might be time to move on. If an offer comes in, I'll have a look at it. But according to the Sun, the Toffees are looking to make him their number one target. Should Everton remain in the Premier League is the question mark. And if they do, they'll likely go all out to sign the Hammers attacker. For me, honest, he's on 100 grand a week. And if we can get anywhere close to what we signed him for him, we signed him £7 million from Nottingham Forest several years ago. A £10 million bid might be enough, and we've made £3 million profit on him, plus getting 100 grand a week's wages off the wage bill as well. So I don't think it's a bad move. So we'll wait and see. We signed him back in 2015, so he's been here for almost 8 years, and obviously will be our Premier League top goal scorer of all time, and probably will be for a long time, I'd say. Probably a long time. Having that sort of 67, whether it is 67, 68, 69 goals he's scored now in the Premier League for West Ham. And he will always have that record, or even when someone takes it over. Maybe someone in Barmer could end up taking it over. Who knows? But that remains to be seen. But it remains to be seen if they're still going to be in the Premier League, and us as well. And speaking of that, the latest update from my favourite supercomputer on 538 websites suggests that both West Ham and Everton will be in the Premier League next season. So Michail Antonio could be turning out for the Blues, for the Toffees next year, potentially, taking into account this weekend's round of matches. Despite West Ham being in the bottom three currently, we have a 71% chance of staying up, with Everton at 60% chance of staying up. The supercomputer puts Bournemouth, Forest, Southampton as the bottom three, respectively, on 54% chance, 56% chance, and 68% chance of going down, respectively. So Southampton being 68% chance of going down. It predicts us to finish 14th with 39 points, just below Leicester. And speaking of, obviously, we are into the international break, but we did have a weekend of fixtures, and particularly with the quarter-final match at Fulham. Man United versus Fulham could have benefited West Ham's relegation fears. Well, no chances of not being relegated. You know what I mean? It was a huge boost for us with the utter chaos at Old Trafford on Sunday. So going into the weekend, West Ham, one of 9 clubs, separated by 5 points in what is probably the tightest relegation battle in the Premier League for years, if not forever, I would suggest. Obviously, we didn't have a say in that at all, because obviously our game with Man City was postponed due to their involvement in the quarterfinals and getting past and getting into the semi-finals, where they're playing Sheffield United. Hopefully do well over the Pigs. I still don't like Sheffield United. But after 9 matches involving West Ham's direct relegation rivals, Moyes and the players might be slightly relieved that most of the results were quite favourable. Yes, we're in the bottom 3, but such is the way that the clubs around us performed. the bottom 9 clubs are only separated by 4 points, meaning potentially West Ham could leap as high as 12th with a win over Southampton after the international break. And we go into now in also 2 of those games in the next 4 are against our rivals. Obviously, we've gone through it, went through it at lunchtime. We've got something like 9 games, a crucial week, particularly after the internationals, where we've got Southampton at home, Newcastle 3 days after that. Actually, a day after that, we've also got the West Ham Youth semi-final at London Stadium. Before then playing Fulham away, and it's a Fulham away game which has had a huge boost for us in our battle for survival after the utter chaos that ensued at Old Trafford yesterday. So the Cottages had manager Marco Silva sent off, Willian sent off for a handball, and star striker Alexander Mitrovic all sent off as they imploded to throw away a 1-0 lead in the FA Cup quarter-final at Old Trafford. Very similar to us, really, in terms of our match with them, and obviously us losing 3-1, same as them. Mitrovic, who had been brilliant throughout the whole game, to be honest, very unlucky not to get more than one. It's his first goal in the FA Cup, I think, ever against you, and especially against United. But should have got a couple more. He's a very good player on his day. He aggressively shoved and elbowed the referee Chris Kavanagh and was dismissed as a result. Fulham ended up down to 9 men and lost 3-1, with the Serbian now facing a lengthy ban. Kavanagh could be seen after the game telling his assistants he elbowed me. So obviously that will be going into his report. And a big ban is on his way for Mitrovic. He can almost certainly be banned for the game against West Ham, given the fact is it will be a straight red. It's a violent conduct red. So that's a minimum of 3 match bans. Plus he's been already sent off before straight reds. I think it's a minimum of 4 match ban. But given the presidencies in place for physically confronting match officials, and of which West Ham will know fully aware of that, the whole Paolo Di Canio incident, a minimum 6 match ban is probably anticipated. Willian and Marco Silva will likely only get 1 match bans, but going out of the cup and the man of the explosion of them will definitely take some of the wind out of Fulham's sails. In other good news, and we are clutching at straws, but it is good news. Arsenal did West Ham a big favour by battering Palace 4-1 to worsen the Eagles' goal difference and extend their long winless run. Obviously, we're playing Palace at the end of April. They could have a new manager in time. They could have Roy Hodgson could be in charge by then. Palace are now well within West Ham's sights now after the international break, and leapfrogging them has to be the aim for Moyes and players in a jam-packed April. Apart from the gap between the Fulham away and the Ghent away match, which is a 5-day break, we then have 3-day gaps between each of our games coming into April. So very, very busy time. And that's it, my friends. A nice jam-packed Hammers headlines. And let me know in the comments, what do you think about the supercomputer putting us at 71% chance of staying up? It's a lot more favourable than probably most West Ham fans think it's going to be. But yeah, check out the international. All you need to know about the international stuff we did at lunchtime. And also another thing is it, how can it be a possibility now that the Spurs manager hates Spurs more than we do? How does that make sense? Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends. Kill your irons. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.